What's up, everybody?
What's going on, y'all? So we are
at the
May Stringer.
I know where he's at. What?
I'm telling them.
Oh, the May Stringer's house.
We're at the May Stringer house. We're supposed to do this ghost hunt, or the museum part first. They're gonna tell us the history of the stuff, and then we're gonna do our little private ghost hunt. So
yes, indeed, inside of a building, not a cemetery.
All right, guys.
See my bald head, y'all? I shaved it all off, looking fly.
Anyways, so check it out. Stick around. See if we catch anything, guys.
Yes, sir.
We are your ghost hostess and hostesses for the most. It is right. So, the May Stringer house is actually named after two different people. It's a hyphenated name rather than a first and a last. Okay. And that's because the house was actually built in two separate sections. So the original portion of the house in 1856 was only 4 rooms. It was built by a man named John May. And those 4 rooms were just the parlor, the dining room, the 2 bedrooms directly above it. Everything that you see on that side of the house and a little bit upwards was built in 1880 by a man named Dr. Sheldon Stringer. He was a physician, so he ran his medical practice out of the building. So you also get to see the room that he practiced medicine out of.
Cool. Okay.
So he added 10 rooms onto the original 4-room structure, making it a 14-room house. And like Autumn was saying, you'll get to see most of them. Right. Now, a couple of little things about the house itself. We've been through multiple transitions. So there were 3 major families back in the 1800s. We had the Mays, the Saxons, and the Stringers. Now the Stringers lived here from 1880 until 1949. So they lived here the longest amount out of any of the families. There was 3 generations of Stringers that lived in this household. Now in 1950, it became a rental home until 1974. So that's 24 years that many families stayed here for short amounts of time. But in 1974, unfortunately, there was just so much work that needed to be done to the house that nobody was really able to sink their money into it. So unfortunately, they were planning on demolishing it, which would have just made the entire history disappear because nobody would think about it anymore. So if you look at the photographs on the wall, that's the condition the house was in 1981 when the Historical Society took it over. Wow. There was literally nothing here. It was a shell of the house. The plaster needed to be redone. The woodworking needed to be reconstructed. There were layers of linoleum on the floor. The mantelpiece was painted black. There was just so much stuff that was in disarray. But again, we didn't want to just destroy it. So that woman in the top photograph, long pink gown, her name was Virginia Johnson. She was basically the town historian, and she knew the historical significance of this house, all the stories, all the history, everything that had gone on this property in this community. And she's asking for donations, volunteers, people with certain skill set, anything that they could donate and put their time and effort and passions into to keep this house standing. And she succeeded because we're now the oldest restored home in all of Brooksville. We have over 11,000 donated artifacts from all over the community and all over the country. Wow. And if you believe in spirit attachments, we probably have a number of them as well.
You what now?
The biggest chicken in this joint.
Oh, for real?
I am a big chicken, yeah. And so I only stay here during the daytime. I don't stay once it gets dark. I'm out. Like, bye. And we know that Florida was a Confederate state, right? And then after the war, this area kind of kept the Confederate ideals. Mm-hmm. Now that led to a long string of tumultuous activity here in the area. Now, we don't know for fact, but we know about the stories that have been passed down generation after generation after generation. So how the story goes is there was a band of men called the Regulators. Now these were not nice men. They went through taking the law into their own hands. They would murder people, they would jail people, they would do everything you could think of to these poor people. Wow. And they wreaked a lot of havoc around here. Now, I
heard it, yeah.
Oh, hear that? So
as soon as you went to talking about them, right?
I know, right? There we go, Bruce with your setup there. So, the Regulators, they were not nice men. Not nice men at all. Now, one of the first murders here in the area happened right here. This was a porch at the time. And this was in direct retaliation to what one of the regulators had done to somebody. Now what happened was a man rode out on horseback and he was sick of him. So he shot him dead right here. Now he was a superintendent at the time. His name was James Rhodes. And he passed away instantly. So that was one of many deaths here at the property. Now right where you're standing, like Tammy was saying, this would have been a porch. Right over here would have been the front yard. And then this would have been the beginning of the house. So we're gonna cross the threshold and go into the old part of the house right now. This man, who is a Confederate soldier, he was a prisoner of war for the duration of the Civil War. His name is Frank Saxon. They turned him loose at the end of the war because they didn't have any use for him. He walked all the way down here, about 700 miles from Paranormal, Kentucky. Now he married Marina and the two girls, adopted two girls. This was a 160-acre parcel of land at that time. And he's like, hey, there's a 4-room structure, a ready-made family. I'm just gonna move right on in. He got married to her in this room right here on Christmas Day in 1866. Now, shortly after that, they went on to have 2 more kids. He wanted boys, he wanted all boys. She had one little boy named Franklin, passed away in infancy. Then I have this little girl right here. Now this was Jessie Mae Saxon. She passed away at the age of 3 and Marina died in childbirth with her. We don't know how she passed away. This is the only picture we have of her and it's post-mortem, so she's already passed away in that picture.
And which picture?
It is very sad, but it was a very common practice back then.
I heard of this.
Yeah, it's very odd to us today. We're like, oh! But back then, photography was pretty expensive. Shortly after Jessie died and Marina died, he still wanted boys. So he married this woman right here, and her name was Tallulah Hope. Now, Tallulah said, I'll give you boys, but I want a big house. And he said, all right, for every boy you give me, I'll build you a room.
Wow.
And he built that house back there.
Is that was here?
Nope, it's actually still standing right across the street by Coney Island.
Oh, by the hot dog place.
Yep, by the hot dog place. It's where they do the weddings.
Wow.
Now, that started, the stringers moved in here after that, and then that started the stringer line. Now, Tammy mentioned that sometimes energy is attached to artifacts.
Right.
So this belonged to Mrs. Stringer. They say it hung here, and we got a hold of it in the 1980s when we got a hold of the house and we hung it back up. These over here, he's a member of the Stringer family, Judge Fred L. Stringer, and these are his law books. And then this right down here is the Sheldon Stringer family Bible.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Now that would have also been in the house at the time.
So this room is the dining room, obviously, and it is set very fancy, very formal, but that's actually how they would have dressed their dining rooms on a daily basis. Yeah. I mean, I like to tell people, you know, like I was saying, we can't have ghost hunting and ghost stories without the history that comes before it.
Right, right.
Because, you know, they understand that we are keeping their memories alive as well. And we can't walk into their homes and demand that they show us something just because we showed up. It's like you can't walk into your neighbor's home, just barge in, sit on the couch and ask for them to make you a sandwich because you just showed up there. You know, it's the same idea. It's like this was their home and their items well before we were even alive.
And what is
The
this?
refrigerator?
Refrigerator.
Huh?
Yep. Take your ice with your ice hooks here, like these guys right here. Ice hook. Take it, put it on a block of ice, pick it up just like that.
Oh yeah, because they had the block of ice back in those days. Yeah.
Back in those days, we also cooled homes by putting blocks of ice under the house with hay, and it would stay cool for roughly around 6 months.
You just said we. Are you somebody in you now?
We as
Because you said we.
we're human beings.
I know, but when you say we, you.
No.
No, I'm just saying. I was just curious, cause he could have said it and then realized he said we.
Yeah, I meant to say we.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure you.
Back in the day,
Right.
we cooled our houses.
Okay. Right.
Ice under the house.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay, I'm 50.
All right.
I don't remember that. You know what I'm saying? You saying we like you reincarnated,
Like he
brother.
was there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. She understand what I'm saying now?
He might be reincarnated.
Cause you said
I'm
we.
not going to talk about that.
Okay.
So this room is set up as a kitchen, as you guys can see. Originally, it would have been like an informal breakfast room because the kitchen would have been set off the house. Would have been called like a summer kitchen because of the risk of fire and heat, especially in Florida because it was hot.
Yeah.
Now that being said, 2 of our most famous pictures were taken in this kitchen. We have copies we can show you. Sure. Right about where you're standing, in fact, in that direction. And when they got the picture developed, there was a woman there.
Oh
That
wow.
wasn't there to begin with. You can't see through her. And she's facing the pantry like she's gonna walk in.
Like right.
She's in full morning clothes, so she had a black dress on, and her hair is in a low bun, which would have been appropriate for just post-Civil War. We think it was Marina. We could show you guys the picture. It's definitely one of the most eeriest pictures I've ever seen.
Right.
We caught her again the year before last, 2019, same spot. It was Christmas time. And they had taken a picture, and she wasn't, you couldn't tell that she was a person then, it was just like a black mist.
Right.
Now the second picture that was taken in
You
this
seem so
hallway.
nervous telling this story.
Listen, if you see me running, just run right behind me. If you hear me screaming upstairs, it's already too late. I'm already hot in the place. So we had, and I believe it was taken by a motion camera, but I'm not 100% sure. Got the figure of like a man right in this doorway here, except he had 2 big holes in him.
Oh.
I know. Like it's already scary enough that there's now he's got holes in him.
Wow.
What?
You got
Yeah.
shot or something?
We think he might have been a soldier because that used to be the military room, and
Ah.
now this is the military room.
Okay.
That
Okay.
being said, let's
So,
head into the military room.
Yeah, it might have some attachments.
Absolutely.
Right. Is this book here? Is this actually their signing book when they came to the?
Yes, that I believe that was his ledger. So
Oh,
it
okay.
kept a lot of records of the different patients that he saw.
Wow.
And we looked, well, we shouldn't have, but
Is that a casket?
It's an incubator.
Oh, a baby
Dr.
for a
Stringer
baby.
was a promoter of the early incubators because he knew how important it was.
For babies.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, it's just amazed at the woodcraft that they had
Oh,
back
yeah.
in those days. Yeah.
And even, well, we have upstairs, a lot of the furniture, you have to keep in mind that they're like mid-1800s and they were all handcrafted. They were
Right.
some of the most intricate designs.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a radio or?
I believe that's I want to say that's a type of an
So simple.
X-ray machine.
Oh, X-ray machine.
I'm
Really?
not 100% sure.
Oh,
Yeah, but
look.
it's something mechanical.
Medicines? Is that their medicines and stuff?
Yeah. A lot of these were
That's cool.
veterinary medicine, and then we have a lot of optometry equipment, and then different tools